First one came from Max. Max said, "Evening, Phil. Are we living in a effects pedal bubble?" I don't know where this is going to go, but I love it. It says, and is it about to burst? Oh, I should have known it was going to be about the collapse of something. Okay, so are we in a pedal bubble? Is it about to burst? With the advent of plugins and modelers that do an equal good job. That's a great, fantastic question. And obviously all I can give you is just a random opinion on that. Will it burst? I don't think pedals have become about tones and making music. They've been more about becoming collectible. The pre-YouTube pedal craze. Some of you don't remember this, but the pedal craze as we know it started in the Great Recession, and so did YouTube. YouTube started in 2006. So if you think about that time frame, you have the recession, and pedals saved a lot of stores in the recession. My store was no exception to that. You know, people were coming in, they weren't buying an American Strat anymore. They weren't buying the Made in Mexico Strat. They were, kicking the tires. They're not really buying anything. All of a sudden you had something to sell them, something they could justify spending money on, like $150 for this pedal. And this is a big deal because although a $200 pedal doesn't seem like a crazy thing to say nowadays, not that long ago, $200 was double what the average guitar player would pay for a pedal. And I mean with inflation factored in. A Boss pedal was a premium pedal, so it was an MXR pedal at $100. That was premium, and then all of a sudden pedals were double that. And people were buying them. And the main reason they started buying those pedals is because it fit the need of fulfilling what your desire to get something new. Not just to buy something, of course, there's always that factored in, but the desire to have something new to make music with, something to enjoy, something to mess around with. And the pedal craze timed itself perfectly with that recession. And then the YouTube craze timed itself perfectly with pedal craze. And here's why I kind of know that happened. One, obviously, I financially, it is something that saved my store at that time from helping move product. But also, the other thing that kind of happened was all of a sudden guitar players changed. I want you to think back pre-2006, and even the younger viewers of this channel will understand what I'm talking about. I want you to think back to what guitar players looked like pre the pedal craze. You'd see a guitar player, they'd have it 1 guitar, 1 amp, 2 guitars, 1 amp, 10 guitars, 2 amps. These are all normal things. They could have 20 guitars back in the day, of course, 20 guitars, 2 amps. And if they had pedals, it was always the same equation. So 1 guitar, 1 amp, 3 or 4 pedals. 2 guitars, an amp, 5, 6 pedals. 10 guitars, 2 amps, 10, 15 pedals. All of a sudden, it's like everybody has like 100 pedals, like 100. In fact, that's when the wall of pedals, I started putting pedals on my on shelves, and that's why I don't do that anymore. I stopped doing that. I love doing it, don't get me wrong, but as much as I am a gear freak, I'm a guitar freak, and I started thinking about going, I'd rather look at the guitars than the pedals, so that's why my wall switched to guitars. I just wanted to stare at my guitars. I was thinking of going, I have guitars in the closet and pedals on the wall. I'll just do it the other way around. And plus, also, I should point out, where I live in Arizona, it's so dusty here that if you leave stuff like that out, pedals and stuff out that, you will be cleaning them because the components, you have to pull them apart, clean the potentiometer stuff. The dust gets in there, they get scratchy and stuff. So the pedal boom is more than just a soundscape thing. In other words, so the fact there's a processor out there or a plugin that does the same thing is not the same because there's still a attraction. What is more important, and something I've been watching for the last couple years, is that, and you tapped on this subject, so I want to thank you for that, Max. More important than your insinuation about modelers and plugins in the theory of having, kind of buying that and not needing pedals. Plugins are different because plugins are collectible. Digital collecting is becoming a thing. I have so many friends now that buy digital products. They'll have tons and tons of pedals and amps and plugins and things that they buy, and thousands of dollars wrapped up in this, to where it's the first time I ever noticed that. And And where all of a sudden I was like, I never thought of that before. I thought, kind of like me, I bought, Amplitude, or I bought, a guitar rig 6, because I have both those on one of different computers and I use them, but I don't really like facilitate any kind of other needs out of them. Like I don't go, okay, now I'm going to purchase this pedal or this plugin or this thing. But I have friends that do that, and I watch them, and they literally have collections of that stuff like you would have a collection of pedals. And some of you, I'm sure, watching right now are like that. You have these collections of what I call this digital product. And that is different because that does feel the need of finding something different. It's easier. Think about how easy that is. Willful Tinkerer says you can't stomp on a plugin. That's not true. You can get pedals. There's pedals that I've demoed on this channel that you put down, you hook up your computer, and they literally assign the pedals to it. But I understand what you're saying. But what's interesting is think about this. How many times do guitar players, and I know this is to be true because I see the affiliate links, a lot of players are buying gear at night. When I wake up in the morning, it tells me everything that was spent on the links over the night, and it's always a lot more. The pedal purchases go up in the afternoon as you guys get off work. And you're at home and you're like, I think I need a new turbo tube screamer. And but the digital landscape's instantaneous. You click it and all of a sudden you have it. You're there messing with it. So I think that is two-prong attack now. Now you have modelers and you have profilers and you have plugins and software that are already helping you do stuff that you don't need pedals for. But also now you have this digital landscape that acts as the same kind of fulfillment mechanism. In other words, the mechanism to not only get something new, but spend a little money. Hey, spending money is not only good for the economy, it's sometimes good for you mentally to do a little something. Sometimes we talk about how you shouldn't spend money. We do that a lot because it's always nice to be conservative with your cash. However, sometimes, a little treat, a little treat's worth something to you. You worked hard all week. Maybe you should buy a pedal. Maybe that'll make you feel better about whatever crap you dealt with this week. But, and I can tell you right now, it's better than some of the alternatives you can spend money on for sure. Anyways, I think that's all an interesting conversation. But more importantly, I think it's a continuing conversation that we need to come back on every couple weeks and talk about, because I'm really interested in that. But I don't think the pedal bubble's going to burst because like I said, I still think pedal buyers are crazy. And I'm a pedal buyer. We're all crazy. And I'll have a beat on it. I always liken this that you are like me and I'm like you. In other words, we're just a bunch of freaks that love guitar and music hanging out on a Friday. So if that's true, if I'm right, then the first time I'm not interested in a pedal, it's probably going to be not a good sign, because I'll be like, oh, that means probably everybody else is not interested either. And I think we're still interested in some pedals. I just think we're kind of a little burned out as a whole, as a community, with the same old. I'm a little burned out with that. How many versions of something can you give me? It's got to be above and beyond what we've normally seen. If you enjoyed this podcast clip, you can watch the entire episode by clicking the link in the description or streaming it on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. You can also join it live every week, Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I hope to see you there. Until next time, know your gear.